very good morning and welcome to ATM Blowout. You know, what we do here, we simply blow it all out from the Atlantic. I hope you are doing very well this morning. I hope your night was good. I mean, mine was, I'm sure, better than yours. I mean, that's where I'm sitting right now, ready to blow out. But whatever it is, wherever you're joining us from, we appreciate you being here. Just to let you know, this is the first time that ATM Blowout is a syndicated live program of the ATN network. We hold conversation on specially interest topics, events, and stories through our correspondent reports, experts' opinions, and of course, stakeholders' analysis. And today on ATN Blowout, we will be discussing about youths demonstrate on the streets, call for an end to Ebubagu militia, and on PVC, INEC issues warning against fake websites requesting voter registration. And towards 2023, Dati Ahmed defends P2B over Okowa's comments. On ASU strike, Governor El Rufai do not have the right to sack varsity teachers. This is according to a senior advocate of Nigeria on presidency. Noge blasts Buhari, says Nigeria at the verge of collapse. On the road to 2023, INEC discloses why over 7 million Nigerians won't exercise their electoral rights. But I'm not doing this alone. I have Dr. Obidimma, who is a political analyst, international journalist, and foreign affairs analyst, of course, who will be joining us to do justice to this issue. But we'll take a short break and we'll come back. We'll dive into the anchors chart, and then we'll get to look at an issue that happened in the city of Port Harcourt yesterday. We'll be right back.
From the line across the ocean to the land beyond the mountains, through the Sahara, we bring on-the-spot news, live analysis, expert discussions on trending stories in politics, business, socio-economy, sports, and documentaries. So catch all the updates on the happenings around the globe. Stay focused on the fact today. Only on ATN.
Every day, our lives are changed by history.
We are one people, all of us.
Leaders, politics,
Nobody's ambition is what they blood.
I have fought very firmly.
natural occurrence, war, and the world economy.
I belong to everybody, and I belong to nobody.
ATN covers it all on ATN Politics today.
Good to have you back on ATN Blowout. So this the first point of call for Anchor's chat this morning is we're going to be blowing out on the fire incident that happened in Port Harcourt yesterday. Now, for those who have followed the news, you can see the fire, the video, playing on the screen as I speak to you. For those who knew about this issue, who were live, who had a human rights lawyer, barrister Courage Nsirim Ovo, who gave us an eyewitness account of this incident. So we're told that this is as a result of a van laden with illegally refined crude products. We don't know if it's diesel or petrol, but one of the products that were in what we call war fire in the city of Port Harcourt, which is illegally refined fuel. Now, this vehicle was laden with it, and somehow it had issues and then blew up. There caught fire to other vehicles, house, and then a part of a building was affected from what we learned, and of course the electric pole and another vehicle, and then you could see the hell literally broke loose. The big question is, how did we get to this point where such vehicles will be allowed to ply the road without checks, proper checks? Let me tell you a quick story of an experience I had with these vehicles that carry illegally refined crude products in the city of Port Harcourt. So one of those days, it was in the night. I stood at a popular bus stop called Rumola in Port Harcourt. So I wanted to join a public taxi, and when I opened the door to the one stopped, when I opened the door, I discovered that there were some bags of liquid. I don't know what it was, but cellophane bag of liquid packed in front of the seat, and I said, okay, let me check the back. I opened the back. It was laden all through the back, and you could see that the vehicle was almost on the floor. And in my mind, like, what is this? I didn't really understand it. And years later, the conversation now ensued where people now talk about how these people carry these things in a vehicle, and I had to step down. I didn't know what that was. I didn't even have an idea. I had no idea it was fuel or whatever that is, but today it's become a pattern where taxis load their vehicles with crude, illegally refined crude. They're applying the road. They pass through police stations. They go through all kinds of checks that we're supposed to have on the road. And then people collect 1 naira, 2 naira, 100 naira, as the case may be, from them. And then they're allowed to ply the road. Well, we're glad that no life was lost. But the big question is, we thought that with the level of force applied on the these illegal refiners or bunkers, like we call them, one would think that by now this would be a thing of the past. So after Governor Wike came at these people, he's going to put an end to it. Oh, seemingly the suit, kind of minimized. It's still there, but not as bad as it used to. The big question then is, what exactly happened afterwards? Why are people, this is in GRA, this is a new GRA, this is a major part of Port Harcourt City. This, what you're seeing where this fire is coming from, is a major part of Port Harcourt City. And we talk about these things, we take it for granted, okay, that happened, someone's loss, property, or if it's another person's vehicle, an innocent person who may have parked his vehicle somewhere to go do, maybe apply a trade or something. So we are sitting down, we're watching the vehicle being burnt, and the issue is that this vehicle was laden with illegally refined crude. So we can agree that the shouts, the hues, the cries, the saying, we're going to, every local government is going to do this. This is happening. Of course, this is in Falga, if I'm not mistaken. It's in Falga. This is something that shouldn't be, but it is. So, well, we thank God for the timely, timely to a large extent, because if the Federal Fire Service didn't come on board, maybe it wouldn't have been possible to actually put off this fire. But it's not enough to put off this fire. Now, we need the government, those in authority, to stand up and begin to do the needful. Thank God for citizens, too, who were, able to get in and do the much they can to ensure that they put off the fire, support the Federal Fire Service. But why did we get to this point? And this is not the first time. The other time in a jetty, the same thing happened. Lives were lost, and because a boat that was carrying illegally refined crude, so maybe there was a mishap or something, and then it exploded and lives were lost, a whole lot. This is not the first time. This has become a recurrent issue in River States. What can be done? What can be done? Any suggestion anyone have? Because we really need to stop this, whatever it takes to stop this. It's understandable that people will say because of economic issues or hardship they had to go into this dangerous trade. That is not just dangerous to those who are refining it, but dangerous to everyone, whether you're benefiting directly from it or not. You could see the gutter, you could see the pole, you could see the electric pole. A lot has been damaged in just one vehicle that will caught fire, and then we're here. This is why we're having this conversation. But the question is, what can be done? What should be done to prevent this from becoming a thing? It's no longer a joke. Anyone could have lost their life in the process of this. It could have been anyone. So what can be done? What is it that needs to be done to prevent this from happening? Yes, we are hungry, but where does our value come in? If we say because we are hungry, that becomes the reason why we do some of the things we do, then the big question will be, where then is our value? How do we put our value system down? And then it's okay, if you eat today and then life's are lost in the process, what becomes of you, whatever you think you're pursuing? So I honestly think that the government needs to step in here and do the needful. It's not enough to shout, you know, you're going to make it a media war. You're done with that. But for there to be such fire, it means that there are still fire operators. There are still illegal refiners within our communities. We know these people. We know they play. This is a public road anyway. It's not like this is hidden or something. So we're calling on the government this morning to step in. This is not the first time. This is, like they say, a norm, because there's a tendency it could happen, and there are vehicles, even though this happened yesterday, there are other vehicles that are still, you know, moving these products from the creeks where they refine these things at. They're still moving them into the city for people to use, for people to buy. So from those who are making the purchase to those who are buying, who are producing, who are refining, there has to be a better way to handle this, because clearly there's still fire. Clearly there's still illegal refining, and whether we want to admit it or not, this is a reality. This is the scene from Port Harcourt, River State in New GRA yesterday. So we hope that the government can step in and understand that this is actually a thing and it is no longer funny. All right, we'll take a short break. When we come back, we'll go straight into the first story for today. Dr. Bidimo Bidima is here as a professional journalist that he is. He understands this job, and then he's here and ready to blow out with us this morning. So we'll be right back.
Meet the people making the difference in our time on ATN Icons. Here, we present you legends celebrated for their heroism in different fields and serve as role models today. ATN Icons, showing every Sunday 8 p.m. to 9 p.m. on Atlantic Television Network, StarTimes DTH channel 194, ATN Live on Google App Store, Facebook Atlantic Television Network, YouTube Atlantic Television Network, Instagram Atlantic TV Network, Twitter Atlantic TV Net. For sponsorship 0810-634-1777. ATN Icons, celebrating the giants of our time.
The people, the candidates, the party, the campaigns. What really makes an election year? Enough of the rhetorics. It's time for issue-based politics. 2023 elections. Who are the candidates? What do you know about them? Take a seat, relax, and join us for the 2023 elections on Atlantic Television Network, StarTimes, DTH, channel 194, or ATN Live on Google Play Store and all our social media platforms. Twitter is at Atlantic TV Net. Facebook and YouTube is at Atlantic Television Network. On Instagram is at Atlantic TV Network. Elections 2023 from Mondays to Fridays at 8 p.m. Election 2023. We the people have a stake.
Good to have you on ATN Blowout and Dr. Obindima. Welcome to ATN Blowout.
Vivian, thank you for having me.
Are you ready to blow out?
We can blow now.
All right, let's quickly get to Abia State, where about youths are demonstrating on the streets and calling for an end to Ibubago militia. The young people in Aba Township organized a protest to voice their opposition to the militarization of Abia State. The youngsters in Aba came to the streets to call for the disbanding of the Ibubago militia in the region. The protesting youths could be seen carrying placards with an inscription that reads, "End Ibubago in Igbo land." The residents called on the state government to scrap the security outfit created by the Southeast governors in April 2021 to secure lives and properties in the region. The protesters alleged that members of the security outfit have repeatedly engaged in extrajudicial killings. They maintain that it is time for the group to be disbanded. It will be recalled that in July, youths in two local governments in Imo State also protested, calling for the scrap of the security outfit following an allegation that some of its personnel allegedly killed 8 wedding guests. And that's where we are this morning. And Dr. Bidima, it's, I don't know if I would say a bit funny or weird. I don't know the best word to how to put this now, because we have in the southwest an Ametokun supposedly doing so well, okay? And then we have this Eastern Security Network, also a regional security operation set up by the Southeast governors. After they set up, we saw them in the news and all that, and that was nothing. We've not seen these governors address issues. Of course, a few weeks ago, about last month or thereabout, some wedding guests were allegedly murdered by quote-unquote Ibubago militia. And now about youths are saying, we don't want this. You have got to put an end to this. It's not working for us. Let's get to have your take on this.
In the first place, I think I should say something here. On that of Amotoko, I think the region hired a retired police officer, whether of a police commissioner or DIG, to mind the command of the. In that of Ibubago, an army, retired army general, Omahi, though he had resigned, was the one who was hired to hide. Why I'm trying to say this is the orientation that these two security outfits may have will differ. Because if this is what the government, an agency set up by the zonal government, they ought to be properly trained. They ought to be, trained on how to relate with civilians, on what to do, issue of intelligence and all those stuff. What is going on in Southeast now is like impunity. If actually this is what these people are engaged, harassing other civilians they're supposed to. And what is the concept? In fact, what is the original concept of that Ibubago? Is it not to secure the Southeast from criminal elements, from terrorists, because of the security breaches in the Southeast? And if they are not doing that and engaging in the governments in Southeast should call them to order. And there should be a reorientation and how to engage in their operations. And if they receive a kind of military trainer instruction, they should be debriefed, and properly trained in a way to relate with the people they are supposed to secure. The government, what the youth should do, they can take this issue to Human Rights Commission and let the Human Rights Commission come and investigate this issue and take appropriate measures to call to order any state that they are having this kind of breaches. In fact, because of the insecurity in this thing, I was in Imo State last week, precisely Obo. I didn't see any sign, anything like a Bubago president, because they ought to also be patrolling the communities, you know, to ensure that the people are secure. So what we are hearing now appear to be something that is different from which they were set up. And the government of the region, the states that made us that it should come immediately to ensure that they tame this monster that is growing before it snowballs to a situation where, because you are wearing uniform, you are empowered by government, you know, to operate. There's impunity, is a license to harass, to maim, and to kill. Well, this is a civilian administration. This we're in a constitutional democracy. If you arrest a criminal, the best thing for you is to get that person arrested and take him to police for prosecution. It's not for you to be a judge, to be the accuser, a judge, even the one that will execute their judgment. So it is a serious infraction that is going on in the southeast. And somebody who is commanding that office should be called to order and should be held accountable. That's my position in this thing.
All right, thank you very much. When we talk about the issue of regional security, I mean, this whole thing came up because in the first place, it has failed. The governments have failed it as a matter of fact. However, that is not the major issue here. The major issue here is in setting up the, you raise a very pertinent point, and that's the bordering on what should be and how it should be. We have an Ameto being fully funded by the Southwest governors. And then we have an Ibubago, like I said, since after their inauguration, we can't really say this is what they got. You see, Ameto, they're always in the news, participating, getting involved in that. They are going for training or they are buying them equipment, you know, tools to fight or to protect their land. We rarely hear of Ibubago. We rarely hear of whoever is taking the lead among them. Is that from one accusation or the other? Why do you think the Southeast, the Eastern governors are quiet or kind of keeping mum on the situation as it is?
Well, they'll keep mum because if that serves them to use their feet against their political opponent or to protect their interest towards 2023 general election, and that will be counterproductive in the sense that it is not what it is really meant for, because they can use it to target supporters of opponents in the name of security breaches, and that will be counterproductive for the region, and it could snowball to a conflagration that may not bode well for the entire zone. So let men of goodwill begin now to call the governors of that zone to order. You know, because before now we have this security problem. There is this ESN that's operating. So we get to a point now that because the IPOB, the ECN, do not believe in the leadership of the political leadership in their zone, they are doing their own things to secure, supposedly, to secure the Igbo land. Now, if they see that the Bubago is not going after the civilians or the Igbo people, there could be a counterattack, and you see two groups now clashing. You know, clashing. So it is not before this thing snowball to an uncontrollable level, it's not to nip it in the bud. And all the governors in the Southeast should be held accountable. And who is the commander? Who is the one that overseeing the outfit in Southeast? They should be held accountable. People should now raise petition to the Human Rights Commission, National Human Rights Commission, draw their attention, and they come. And when they come, you see, there are certain things that will happen in the start, he could even go to ICC. The governor could be taken to ICC, you know, for unwanted genocide. You know, I hope this Ebubago is not becoming a political outfit.
Well, the question is how do we even know if it's going to if it's one? Because with all that is going on, I mean, you set this supposedly to protect the people. One would expect that there should be some level of responsibility from the Southeast governors when it comes to the Ebubago. There has to be some form of improvement, some form of transparency, so that for the young people to come to the street to say we do not want Ebubago, that tells you that there is that disconnect in whatever Ebubago is doing. But if that being the case, what is expected of the Southeast governors as it is?
Yes, the Southeast governor ought not to keep quiet. They ought not to be moved over this thing. They should write to the occasion immediately, because if it gets to a point where Southeast is now made ungovernable, it will also not bode well for them. And let outside the governors, let Igbo leaders now begin to engage their political leaders that set up this thing, to begin to do the needful, to ensure they tame these people and they train them properly. And if they are receiving military training other than policing, they should be debriefed. That's my take.
Okay. We hope that they are listening. We hope that they get to do the needful. Let's quickly go to a next issue for this morning. This is on the PVC. INEC issues warning against fake website requesting voter registration. The Independent National Electoral Commission has released an online website urging the Nigerian public to register for a permanent voter's card in response to the suspension of voter registration. The fake site claimed that the federal government has ratified individual registration online to avoid needless crowds in the NIMS centers. Festus Okoye, the chairman of the Information and Voter Education Committee and commissioner of INEC, in a statement said the commission states unequivocally that the site is not linked to the commission and the link portal is spurious and from a dubious source. The Independent National Electoral Commission is the only body constitutionally and legally mandated to conduct the registration of persons qualified to vote in any election in Nigeria and to update and revise the register when the need arises. The Commission is solely responsible for organizing, undertaking and supervising national elections in the country and does not share this responsibility with anybody or organization. Members of the public are strongly advised not to succumb to the antics of the online scammers and should avoid such fake sites. The Commission has concluded the continuous voter registration exercise nationwide and does not need to open an additional site or portal for the purposes of registration of voters. According to data published by the Commission, the number of persons who have completed their registration is over 12 million as of 7 a.m. on August 1, and this figure started this registration online while the move from the Southwest accounted for over 2 million registrants, Northeast and many of them. So I'm going back to you, Dr. Zodima. The INEC, let's start from the issue of voter fake sites being pushed out there. For there to be a fake site where INEC is aware of and where people still think they can still register, first of all, what is the danger? Let's look at it from that angle.
Well, the danger, if INEC is coming to claim that there are illegal websites and warning the public, in the first place, did INEC create any website for online registration?
Well, we're supposed to have the voter education for Rivers, a person for Rivers, but he's not here, yeah. So
if INEC did that, then INEC should begin to tell the public the difference between their own website and the one they are
that is fake,
christening as fake website. And if they have the same kind of features, then if they have, it can also take technology to block those fake sites. Now, if they are the same, Do you blame the public? All that INEC should be telling the public, wherever you go and they are charging you money to register online, know that that is fake, because we don't charge money, you know. Because you see, because of the lack of capacity in most of the agencies, like this national identity number registration, they've also put this thing in the hands of the private people to help, and they see them making money. You go and register for a name, take either 1,000 naira, 1,005, and the public have also, that consciousness has come to stay in them, that anybody who is also doing all this is doing it based on the permission of the authority that is in charge of that very issue. So these are, it don't blame the public. Now what INEC should do is to ensure that those people are also protected, and that is why I'm against this issue of stopping the continual registration exercise, because the law says continual registration. The law did not give time limit. If it were to be a developed country, you will see that they will register people even at the eve of the election. They will continue to register people. INEC has failed to build capacity in this registration. There are thousands and millions of people that are still waiting to be registered. Do you know that their machines? Do you know that their machines were also giving issues? You see, when this registration thing was going on, people will go and spend hours. They say no network, come back tomorrow. They will go, they say no network, come back tomorrow. Then, and people are queuing. So there is a lot of time that was lost in this their deadline. So what INEC should do is to continue this without, to ensure that Nigerians that are constitutionally empowered or have the right are not defranchised. They should be registered. I can't imagine someone who attained 18 years this month will not vote next year. Someone who has attained 18 years next month will not vote next year.
Now, some of the issues that some of the issues that INEC raised on this is that they have they have a limitation in terms of printing the card, you know, getting it out ready for. That was the point. If you register and you cannot vote, what is the point? So they have a challenge with that. But remember that also, when they started this PVC, this is a voter card thing, they started with temporary voter card, paper. That's what they gave to people, and then afterwards, people will now have the permanent voters card, which is where the PVC comes in. So now, looking at that side by side, you just raised a very pertinent issue, which I've always raised. People are turning 18 today until we get to 2023, February, when the elections begins. And because we don't have a comprehensive database, we don't even know if this runs into millions of 18-year-olds in Nigeria. So based on that, we just assume that let's discard these people. And that's a major number that you'll be disenfranchising if you don't do the needful. So bringing it back to you, and the question is, wouldn't it have been fair for INEC to reverse to their normal paper temporary voters card? Use the top print process where you get to register on the day of the voting before you now cast the ballots. I believe it's still going to be the same process. Why would
Acceptable alibi for INEC to tell us that because of the printing of the permanent voters card, INEC has a huge budget. It don't depend on the company. It can hire another company also in terms of printing this permanent voters card. You know, so this is why I say INEC is not thinking fast. They also lack capacity. They don't want to build the capacity to do the needful. It is, we have, is it the only one company or two companies that exist in the world that can churn out the PVCs? So what INEC, seeing the huge surge of population coming to register, INEC should not interview and engage well qualified company that can also print this thing. Does it take is it a rocket science to get this thing printed out, that people can register? This thing can be printed out in less than 1 month and given to them. You know, we do things wrongly, and all this thing also not happen in other places. I say, if it is in America or UK or any of these developed democracies, at the eve of election, people can be allowed to register as far as they have attained the constitutional mandatory age of voting. The law do not permit anybody to defranchise whoever that is qualified and willing to vote. And this is where the civil society organization should come in to take INEC to court.
But they have done that.
Yes, but he can still go to court again. Even individuals can approach the court, stopping the election from holding at that particular date because of being defranchised. That is ready to, and these are the right that is conferred on the citizens, which must not be abridged and which must not be denied them.
All right, thank you very much. I think that the point has been made there, whether we like it or not. These are issues that INEC really need to look into, and then the government needs to look into. It wouldn't be fair that a child who turned 18 today in August and to January, as a matter of fact, will be told you cannot vote because we can't print, we don't have the facility to print more permanent voters card. There has to be an alternative. I mean, they have INEC maybe should think out of the box. But let's go to our next issue this morning, and that's on Dati Ahmed defending his presidential candidate. The vice presidential candidate for the Labour Party, Dati Baba Ahmed, and Governor Ifeanyi Okowa of Delta State were at each other's over Peter Obi, the party's putative presidential candidate. In an interview with the BBC Pidgin, Okowa, the People's Democratic Party vice president's candidate, said, "I did not say he won't have any votes. He will have. But what I'm saying is that he's not a new candidate. It has not been long since he left PDP." That's Okowa referring to P2B. You know, he was in ABGA before. From ABGA, he came to PDP. It hasn't been long since he left. So he cannot say anything about PDP because that's where he was before. Some of us are still here. At every party, there are good people and bad people. But today's Nigeria is very troubled, and we need the right person. That is why I'm appealing to our youth to be wise and vote well. They should not be blinded by the concept of a forced change, because that is how they raved on Jonathan in 2015. The thing is not easy for them to have handled the economy at the time and made it something better. Offering hope, creating jobs, and filtering the society was not easy because it's a bigger thing. So someone is supposed to learn through that. If you look at Obi's experience, you will know it's small. Obi's previous experience is not enough for this one. For the presidency, it will be hard. His experience is not deep enough. Even as a current governor ruling in a time of crisis, I know how hard it is. I even want to learn under Atiku because he has experience with the federal government.
Well, that statement is quite parochial, you know, and self-serving. You see, this is where sometimes I query the depth of our thinking, even from our political leaders. Do you see what is going on in UK? Who are those who are jostling for the prime ministership of the country? They're in their 40s. You know, and they've not held any position outside maybe being ministers. So these are people who, this is a system that people have grown from the school, taught leadership, the intricacies, all the nuances of governance and all those things. And when they come out of school, if you see them sit down to discuss issues on international relations, you baffle. You see them discuss leadership. And these are people who read. So how can you compare? I think what is experience? That you occupy political position. Does that confer you experience more than somebody who also have occupied that political position and did well, who also have been successful in business, who also, are not stopped in acquiring knowledge, and that knowledge also acquiring knowledge and getting either problems that have been created in some country and how solutions were provided to solve that problem. And this is the person that has a different language from your principal, because you want to be a vice president, you want to choose somebody that is not qualified and all those things. So of all that we are aspiring for the presidency, either APC or PDP, are you saying that Atiku is the most qualified? In what? Is it because of his age, because he was a former vice president? In America, people move from Senate to contest the presidency. People move from as governors, to contest for the presidency. Obama happened to be one of the shining lights. He was in Senate. Obama was not quite known in America, but he came up as a shining star within a twinkle, and was giving America ideas, stories, and they followed him. Remember that when George Bush Jr., the economy was running aground in his administration, was collapsing. It took Obama to lift. Obama was a younger person. Is it when
and not also from the established?
Yes.
Now, Dr. Bidima, I agree with you. There are several examples we can look at. Emmanuel Macron of
France.
France. There are several examples.
Look at the one in Zambia, who is like the P2B we have here. Nobody gave him chance. They say he doesn't have structure, social media, and all those things. But Zambians want a new thing. They want to reset their nation, and they can win election. But look at what he's doing now in Zambia.
So, like I said, there are several examples we can look at. Now, Okowa, being a medical doctor, well learned, supposedly, he takes a position based on the fact that P2B lacks the experience. P2B was a former executive governor just like him.
Yes.
And now, the idea of picking a vice president is in the absence of the president, the vice president automatically becomes the president. So is he saying that, like we say, God forbid, but evil happens anyway? If anything happens to Atiku,
yes,
that he is not qualified, because in trying to attack P2B, he seemed to be indicting himself.
Is
Okowa now saying to us that he is not qualified to be the president in the absence of Atiku?
Yeah, because the constitution is clear about it. If the president dies, the vice will take over. What was the pedigree of Jonathan? When he became a deputy governor, became a governor. And a running mate, when that Yaradua died, Jonathan had to step in. Are you going to go for another school to be taught how to be president? Because that position, you are also assembling a team. Depending on the team of people, that if you feel that you will assemble the brightest to get the best in your administration, all that you do as a president is to show that you monitor and supervise properly and guide properly. It's like any organization. A manager does not do the thing alone. And when you talk of possessing conceptual ability, and that is what is needed most. Are you saying that Atiku has it more than P2B? No.
Now, this same Dr. Kowa made a statement that he's going to learn from Vice President Atiku Abubakar. Remember that Vice President Atiku Abubakar has been accused of leaking information from the presidency to the media. Shawari did that himself,
Yes,
as a matter
yes.
of fact. So now that is the character of the man. So what exactly are we talking about learning? P2B is not a child. P2B has been experienced. He's running his business. So what exactly is it about what experience does he possess that a P2B does Atiku possess that a P2B does not possess, or that Okowa himself does not possess? What are we looking at here?
The point there is that Okowa is telling the world that he's not qualified to be a vice presidential candidate. That he doesn't have the experience, what it takes to be there. What experience did Atiku get to be the vice president? What are you going there to learn? The constitution of the country makes it mandatory and provides even the function of the vice president. I was saying that as the head of the nation economic, who manage the economic council or whatever, that he cannot do it until Atiku teaches you how to do it. But his own case is quite different from P2B. Okowa cannot speak the language, economic language that P2B has. Okowa cannot churn out the statistics, a comparative analysis of nations and the economy like P2B is doing. Atiku cannot even do it. If P2B failed as governor of Anambra State, if anybody had come to debunk the claims P2B is making when he was governor of, now we begin to be weary and be suspicious of the character of P2B, that let it not come with deception like we had from APC. But because this man brings out this what I did, and nobody has been able to discredit all those claims, I believe that the democratic revolution we are into now cannot be scuttled by anybody, no matter the kind of propaganda and the mudslinging anybody will throw at him. And that cannot change the mind of very discontented Nigerians, frustrated Nigerians that are now yearning for a change to reset this nation.
I have a quick question for you before we get out of this. Dati Ahmed seemed to be defending Peter Obi in this case. So my question here is this a vice presidential contest where Okowa says what Atiku supposedly would like to say about P2B, but can't say because of a personal relationship or so, and then you have an Okowa doing the hatchet job, and then here you also have a Dati Ahmed speaking up. Why does he need a Dati Ahmed to speak up for P2B? Couldn't he do that himself, or is there something missing?
No, I mean for P2B.
Yes,
you see, let me tell you, if you watch P2B, how he responds to those that are attacking him, you will see wisdom. But why does he have a vice presidential candidate? It's also to defend the ticket.
Okay.
Yeah? So if Dati, as qualified as Dati, as quintessential as Dati is, can also, in fact, is in a position to reply Okowa. You see, we're in politics. There are things that somebody could say, it will be sticking to people's mind, and there should be a counterpulse attack to take that in away from people's mind. P2B and Dati, yet they almost have the same orientation, that they could differ because they are not the same person. So there is nothing absolutely wrong for Dati to make any kind of counter response to whatever Okowa is bringing up.
So I asked that question because Peter B is never seen responding to anything
Yeah,
said
but
about
if he
him.
has,
And
yeah.
then his people, in fact, he literally called his team to his obedience group to say,
Yes.
don't do this, don't respond to them, don't do this.
Yeah, but
So they also came out to say, no, you can't. Paul Njoka, a human rights activist, came out to say, no, that's you gagging the people. You shouldn't do that to them. So, so the question is, it was looking like this is a Peter Obi trying not to respond to what is being said
yeah,
about him again.
this is what we are saying. He can get a very simple husband, in quotes. And also, that's why I say God matches a man a woman. When you have a quiet husband, you give you a husband that should also stand to protect the husband, not
A wife.
a wife that can protect the husband, not anybody taking the husband's civility as a sign of weakness.
Okay. I think that makes sense now. So we should be looking out for Dati Ahmed Baba. So for those who feel like Peter B is a gentleman, Dati Ahmed Baba doesn't seem to be a gentleman in that sense. He's got his voice and he seems to be talking and doing the doing. So we'll take a short break. We'll come back. We're going straight to Kaduna State, where Governor El Rufai said last week he was going to sack teachers who participated in the ASU strike. Now, a senior advocate of Nigeria is saying, no, you can't do that, El Rufai. But we'll be right back after this on that.
Meet the people making the difference in our time on ATN Icons. Here, we present you legends celebrated for their heroism in different fields and serve as role models today. ATN Icons, showing every Sunday 8 p.m. to 9 p.m. on Atlantic Television Network, StarTimes DTH channel 194, ATN Live on Google App Store, Facebook Atlantic Television Network, YouTube Atlantic Television Network, Instagram Atlantic TV Network, Twitter Atlantic TV Net. For sponsorship 0810 634 1777. ATN Icons, celebrating the giants of our time.
The people, the candidate, the party, the campaigns. What really makes an election here? Enough of the rhetorics. It's time for issue-based politics. 2023 elections. Who are the candidates? What do you know about them? Take a seat, relax, and join us for the 2023 elections on Atlantic Television Network, StarTimes, DTH, channel 194, or ATN Live on Google Play Store and all our social media platforms. Twitter is at Atlantic TV Net. Facebook and YouTube is at Atlantic Television Network. On Instagram is at Atlantic TV Network. Elections 2023 from Mondays to Fridays at 8 p.m. Election 2023. We the people have a stake.
have you back. You're still on to ATM Blowout. I've been blowing out with Dr. Obidima. But let's quickly get to Kaduna State, like I mentioned to you, where a senior advocate of Nigeria, Barrister Yakub Kura, has said that the governor of Kaduna State, Nasir El-Rufai, has no constitutional powers to sack lecturers of the state university for joining their counterparts across the country in Downing 2. The legal luminary who spoke exclusively to ATN crew in Kaduna noted it would be illegal for Governor El-Rufai to contemplate sacking academic staff of Kaduna State University. Our correspondent in Kaduna, Mike Ode James, completes this story.
A senior advocate of Nigeria, Barrister Yakubu Kura, has reacted to the threat by Kaduna State Governor Nasir El-Rufai to sack university teachers for joining their counterparts in other universities in Downing 2s. It could be recalled that staffs of Kaduna State University joined their counterparts in Downing 2s last week. Barrister Kura, who spoke exclusively to ATM News, added that there are no state laws that support the sacking of teachers by the governors.
ASU comprises of members of the academic union of all the universities. A state university is not an exception. And being members, what you have here in KASU is just a branch of ASU. So one wonders how the governor would think that a branch of ASU should operate in isolation from the national body. I know in very rare occasions it has happened. For instance, I remember University of Ilorin at the point said they were not going to participate, but that was their own separate decision. It was not the kind of coercion that we have in this state.
He noted that the Kaduna State University branch of Academic Staff Union of Universities is an appendage of the national body, and therefore teachers under its umbrella cannot be sacked by the governor for joining strike called by ASU.
There is no state law that regulates ASU, not to talk of the members violating any law by associating with the general members. So that, yes, he can do that. After all, he has done so many things that the law does not support. He has. All the things he does here, there are not things that the law supports. We've had cases in which even orders are disobeyed. Orders from competent courts are disobeyed. Judgments of court have been disobeyed by the governor. So one will not be surprised that he will tell the whole world that he will sack members of ASU because they have joined a strike. It is not that what he's saying is legal. No. But it is the undemocratic tendencies that some of the governors are involved in that is at play.
However, he added that Governor El-Rufai had in the past threatened labor union with tough actions.
So one will not be surprised that he will tell the whole world that he will sack members of ASU because they have joined a strike. It is not that what he's saying is legal. No. But it is the undemocratic tendencies that some of the governors are involved in that is at play. It's not that they have violated any law, they have not.
The senior lawyer averred that ASU members in the state should approach the court if the governor goes ahead and sack any member of the Academic Staff Union for embarking on the national strike.
They can go to court. Why would they not go to court if they are sacked? They have not violated the contracts they have with the university. Their terms of employment, did it prohibit them from joining ASU? If they did not, if the terms of contract did not prohibit them, they can go to court and challenge him. And that is the unfortunate aspect is just that the governors, most of them don't even bother about the courts. Courts gives an order, even injunctions, don't do this, they will violate it with all impunity, as if they treat the courts with disdain. But nothing stops them from going to court to challenge if they are being sacked because they joined ASU strike. Unless, of course, they violated certain terms of the agreement, which the government will have to show to justify.
On the issue of the senators threatening to impeach President Muhammadu Buhari over the rising spate of insecurity, he added that there is nothing wrong with the National Assembly initiating impeachment process against the president.
These are constitutional breaches. And we should understand that this government was voted into power on the basis that they undertook before Nigerians that within a few months they are going to tackle insecurity. They have failed.
That is Senior Advocate of Nigeria, Kura. They are talking about the legal implication of Governor El-Rufai saying he's going to sack university teachers. If you, maybe for those who are not aware, last week during the ASU strikes, some Kaduna State teachers joined their counterparts, Kaduna State University lecturers joined their counterparts across the nation to embark on this strike. Governor El-Rufai said that they are not owing them. There is no reason why they should join the strike, and that if they do join the strike, he was speaking in a radio station in Kaduna. He said if they join the strike, that he's going to sack them and replace, going to sack all of them and put adverts on radio, on print or so in the media to replace, to get other people to come in to replace them. Now, if you recall, this is not the first time that he has actually done similar thing, sacking all the teachers and saying that they don't know what they are doing. In fact, he actually, to prove that he was right, he had to register one of his sons in the government primary schools to buttress his points and all that. Okay, and then when he just got into office, everybody was like, oh, he's doing the right thing. They cannot write, they cannot read, but there's something called retraining the trainers to enable them deliver on their tasks. This is done in practically every organization. Here we are again, Governor El-Rufai threatening Kaduna State University teachers, lecturers, that he's going to sack them if they join it. But as a lawyer saying he doesn't have that power. But let's get to have your take on this.
Is operating under a constitutional democracy, and is according to rules, laws governing his state, the nation, and nobody must go outside what the law says or provides. We are not run by decrees or edicts. And I know that if you claim that he's paying salary, ASU, did they go on strike because of salary? It's not what ASU. ASU is talking of funding the university properly. Is he funding his state? He's not paying this. Is he funding his state university properly? All the necessary things that can make an university to function, in place. So, if in joining ASU strike with their members, whether on sympathy strike or whatever, they are nothing like what the son said, nothing absolutely, they are not in violation of the laws. And the El-Rufai doesn't have that power to sack them. It doesn't. So in sacking them, all that he is saying is that he has shutting down the university. When he closes the university, are students not affected? He has sent the student home automatically. And before they will resolve that issue, it may take more than a year. So, you see, we have governors that even also put them in the thing they want others to do. Put them through exam. They can't pass that exam. Why do you want to subject somebody that have been employed, qualified, and employed to take a certain position to go and write an exam? It's like, as I am now, that's why my PhD. You not tell me to go and write government in WAEC that I left over nearly 40-something years ago. What do you think I would do? I will be writing that in based on residual knowledge, not on the current teaching. Now you want to subject graduates. All that you do is to let them be updated in teaching methodology. Send them for training and workshops and seminars. As we have migrated from analog to digital, they go for training.
No,
that is all.
What was still on the issue of the high-handedness of Governor El-Rufai in Kaduna State? There are several issues. We'll come back to that. But still on this idea of sacking lecturers for participating in the strike, the governor of Rivers State, through the head of service, gave the same order during the NLC solidarity strike, saying that River State universities or the State University Polytechnic are not to join in the strike, and that of course that they had to obey him, and that's because he's not owing the lecturers. But like you rightly pointed out, ASU is not on strike because of their salaries. That is not just that is like a minute part. They're asking for upgrade, but that is not even the major reason why they are there. So when a governor who should be the governor of the people chooses to, segregate because he's paying a university, a state-owned university, so other students, other people who he's supposed to be a governor to, no longer matters, whatever plight they are going to. Because University of Port Harcourt, for instance, have a lot of River State people in that university. It's not just USC. Yes. USC cannot accommodate the number of people who want to be in who are supposed in the university. So a governor should know that, just like Kaduna State RFI should know that Kaduna State University cannot accommodate all the students who are in university in the state university. They don't have the capacity to do that. So this is what they should know. Now, in the absence of this knowledge, you have these governors issuing orders left, right, and center. What society picture are we painting in the society, in the minds of the young people who are looking up to these men?
That is what we are saying. The issue of leadership and the way it's conducted do not give that kind of room where the next generation that are coming can be properly mentored. They can see and observe, and And I said it when we were in the university in the 80s, early 80s. Even when I finished my work, what was our interest in the political space was to hear these politicians. Nanda Zikwe is coming to Port Harcourt for a rally. We move to hear Nanda Zikwe speaks. How this man, Dr. Mbadiwe, K. Mbadiwe, Ajirichukwu, Awolowo them. We also go to House of Assembly to observe proceedings. We mimic those things in our student union. Even community. Some of us that time will go to court. We come home in meeting, we say, I put it to you that this way, and all those things. So we are trying to look at, it was a kind of mentoring this thing we are pushing ourselves, but that is not like what we are saying something here, there's really a gap.
Yeah, a mental gap.
Between this generation and our own generation that should be bridged. In fact, there's a pain in your heart that those who are retired should come back to the system.
Yes.
And that is the truth.
Yeah,
I share that sentiment with you. Because the people who are leading today, they have this military mindset. It don't push human beings that way. It doesn't work. And the two, we also have intellectuals that don't have their own minds. They're giving their own minds and their thinking to political leaders. If you go to USC, yes, they are getting salary and all those stuff. There are buildings, but the university is not about how large the university, the buildings, no. The university is made up of faculties. One, the lecturer, the quality of lecturers, the quantity and quality of research that comes out of that university, the equipment for learning. Do you have the necessary equipment? If you go to the engineering faculty, do they have up-to-date equipment for learning? If you go to the medical, do they have what it takes to train medical doctors? If you go to different, this is what they look at. And that is actually basically the agitation, the protest by ASU, so that they can compete favorably within the global academic environment. So, but our leaders don't really understand that very sector called education, from primary to tertiary. They don't. If not, okay, like what you said here, the student in that Kaduna State University, there are ABU, there's ABU, there's another federal institutions that people of Kaduna State, students in Kaduna State are attending, and they've been home for nearly 5 months.
And that should, in a sense, society, that should be the concern for a governor. Because
yes.
You are their governor.
Yes. You know, that should be concerned. Why must we not go into their Luther continuum? What affects one affects the other. And that was the concept when we were in the university in the early 80s. What happens in ABU? Immediately there's a protest, all students in Nigerian university in this country will go and protest. So that drives the government to quickly fix that problem.
Now, let's quickly look at the drive, the yearnings or drive for university autonomy. Yesterday, we got the announcement that the governor of Rivers State dissolved the governing council for Elechiamadi University. And now this...
Elechiamadi Polytechnic.
Elechiamadi Polytechnic, I beg your pardon. And now this is as usual, without prior notice, and you know, these things get done. Then we speak to some of the lecturers, they have their concerns at this level of autocracy being exercised in the academic in an institution of learning, because it's not just okay, you're dissolving. There are roles, there are responsibilities that this will have. There is something called due process here. You know, like the lawyer said, El Rufai has been seen severally giving all kinds of orders, and you know, at the end of the day, we have seen him threatening the federal government. He wants to get a mercenary, which he doesn't have the constitution upon. Now we have governors acting out of character. Bringing this back to the issue of ASU and Nigerian University and the quest for university autonomy, do you think, given these issues that we just raised, that it's become necessary for there to be an autonomy where the government or the governor, you know, knows his limits when it comes to interfering with the issues of academics?
This is what I say. In fact, let me tell you this, that even governors appear to be the de facto vice chancellors of their state universities. The vice chancellors are not free to run the management of the universities. You know, everything is dictated from government house. It was not like that before. And that is why vice chancellor before, you see, they are not involved in politics. But today, for it to be a vice chancellor, it must have been deep into the political system. It must have also been a boy, a professor. To the candidate that is running an election, or the governor of the state. And when you are appointed as one of his boys. And that is why some certain things cannot be properly handled within the university system. And that's why there could even be grumblings, because there are certain action decisions that the management of the university may want to take, but they will be looking at it. What will be the reaction of the governor? Because the governor can quickly say, before even you finish your 5-year term, I'll sack you. You appoint a acting VC. There is no procedure. There is no process. There is no due process. There is no rule of law. And because we run a society, a system where there is no institution that is working except individuals. And there is no, the concept of sustainability is akin to us. One thing can be fixed now and removed tomorrow. And people don't rise against these things and try to interrogate why these things are happening and why sometimes it's like most of us are feeling frustrated, you know, staying within this kind of system. And that is why It don't even blame those who say it's a zoo country. We run things as if we are not humans. We do things as if we are not even dealing with our fellow human beings. Because you find yourself in a position of authority that maybe will elapse at most 8 years. You become an ordinary citizen. And that thing you fail to face will also be haunting you. So the issue of universal autonomy is long overdue. If we are to get it, if we are to follow, I love the private. When I wanted to do my PhD, I just looked because I did my first degree, my second degree in public university. And I know the environment, I know what. I told a friend that no, I cannot do my PhD in public university. I had to go to a private university. And you are doing your PhD. When they are monitoring you, if you don't finish a record time, they will question. They will investigate whether the problem is from your supervisor or it's from you. That is not, if it's from your supervisor, he's in trouble. They give you 2 supervisors. In case one travels, you will not deal with one. So immediately it is a 3-year distance that you finish that university and you did not finish. They will not ask questions. And when they find maybe from you, you've not been able to pay your fees and all those things, you know. But when once it is found out that, yeah, supervisors are not giving attention and all those things, they are not happy. And at the time you are about, they will ask you, are you ready? Are you ready for your defense? When you say you are ready, they say, I hope you know what you say you are ready. You'll be ready financially, that to clear up your school fees, to enable you to come and do your defense. You'll be ready with your work. Now, at that point, when you say you are ready, they say, can you do it in the next 2 weeks? Can you be ready in the next 2 weeks? Tell us in the next 1 week. They now look for external examiner for you. And the issue of your supervisor demanding something from you to push you, and all, it's not there. The issue for your head of department say, look, give me so thing. As you hear happen in public universities, they tie you down because you have not met certain condition. What is that condition? Monetary condition.
So, in essence, the need for university autonomy has become very pertinent.
Very, very.
All right. All right. Let's quickly go to our next issue this morning. That's on presidency. Noge blasts Buhari, says Nigeria at the verge of collapse. The national president, Nigerian Union of Local Government Employees, Ambali Akim Olatunji, says Nigeria is no longer the country the citizens dream of. Ambali Akim Olatunji made the remarks on Tuesday at the 7th State Quadrennial inauguration of the newly elected executive to run the affairs of Noge in Kogi State, while noting that the country is on the brink of collapse under the Buhari-led federal government. Olatunji said Nigeria is drifting owing to bad leadership. The last 4 years under the present administration showed that the country has no one in charge, drifting with nobody in control. This is not the Buhari Nigerians voted, he lamented. He called on Nigerians to pray and rise to the occasion to elect credible leaders in 2023. Okay. This is not the Buhari the Nigerians voted for in 2015. This is a different Buhari. Now, from the local government to the state and to the presidency to former party chieftains, everyone seems to have agreed, even the president himself, that this is a failed administration. The big question is, to a lot of Nigerians, why is he yet to resign? He should put in his resignation. Of course, we know that's not going to happen. But do you think there's anything that could make the president take a step, do something to at least, you know, to get his somewhat of his image back?
Let me say it categorically that he doesn't have the time again. The time is up. and unfortunately for him. Vivian, I want to tell you one thing, that Nigeria is already a failed state.
What are the indices? I mean,
Yes,
that's a big
all
word.
The features,
what are the indices?
All the features of a failed state are there. A failed state does not mean that the nation is not existing.
Okay.
That's what people should differentiate. It does not mean absence of a nation or non-existent of a nation. A failed state is where that both your political system, your economic system, your security, the quality of life of citizens has failed, has come low. And corruption is the thing that is even ruling. So the house has fallen. It can be rebuilt. And rebuilding it not with the engineer that doesn't know what to do again in bringing up the structure. So when people we have a president that lack capacity, we have a president that lack capacity to manage the affairs of the nation. When they say Buhari, this is not the Buhari we voted in 1983. I was an undergraduate. In 1984, Buhari, 83, 84, and part of 85. In fact, Buhari was just a military head of state for 1.5 years. 1.5 years. The Buhari that time had a deputy in the name of Tunde Ediabon, who was like operational manager of that system. Buhari pushed this country into trade by barter, a primitive economic system where we now barter our crude oil with essential commodities. And for you to buy a tin of milk, a tablet of soap, you must wake up early to go and queue in a shop to get there, and they ration it. You may not get more than 2 tins of milk. Where undergraduates that time?
I have a big question. Noga is saying that the president has failed. A lot of people, even he has even admitted that he can no longer do much for Nigerians. However, there are people knew this man, that he had this experience. A lot of us who may have supported him in 2015 knew little or nothing about him. And of course, without history in the curriculum today, some of these informations are not available. How did we now allow this same human being who couldn't live up to the expectation as the military leader at the time come back to the presidency?
Yeah,
took the first tenure, took the second tenure, and here we are speaking English and trying to make sense of the whole situation.
Yeah. There was a pharaoh that didn't know Joseph. You know, we had a generation that didn't know Buhari. They only had the story. And we were telling them that this is what we went through when we were military head of state. A lot of people were warning. And they came with huge propaganda, internationalized it, and got in the international community on their side. And they used propaganda to paint the administration of Jonathan in a very bad light. And a lot of people bought it and calling Jonathan clueless and all those things and all those stuff. And they were now rating Buhari as a former general. In fact, within 2 months, he will clear the mess of security. You know, the hype was much. And some of us were not deceived. And he came. You know, when he came, he first told Nigerians that by his age, he cannot do much like when he was younger. He made that statement, and that was a danger signal. And Buhari knew about it said. That is why we just oppose this now to what Okowa said. Buhari had been a former head of state with experience. He is not president. Even second term president. What is the experience? What is Nigeria getting out of it? So how do you think that Atiku, with his age and all those things, can do better? Because he's been a former vice. We even need somebody that was even a student union president to come and rule this nation now. With zeal and zest, we'll get to where we want to get to.
So as far as you're concerned, the narrative about experience and what it brings to the table doesn't seem to be
it doesn't seem. It's somebody who can identify the problem and someone who has the capacity to provide solution. That's what we need. And get very qualified lieutenants that will go to war with you. While you are directing with the idea, because idea is very important. And that's why we are talking of conceptual ability. Somebody who is aspiring to be the president of this country now should acquire. Very, very germane, very important. So it's not we have gotten somebody with experience. Tinubu, has he been president before? Has he been vice president before?
No.
So if we now go to back to the theory of Okowa, why is he aspiring to be the president of this country? Why not want to be the vice and understudy and go to school through a president?
Now, speaking of Tinubu, bringing back Okowa into this conversation, because now they're saying that Nigeria is at the verge of collapse, and then you are saying we need to have someone who has a conceptual ability to understand what is and what should be done and how it should be done. Bringing that to bear on the political presidential candidates that we have been presented, that have been presented to Nigerians, and now we are looking at, when you talk about experience, and then you've been able to say that is not what we are talking about right now. Do you think any of these candidates, not to mention their name or promote them now, just talk about the issues as it is, but any of these candidates right now, whether we like it or not, the P2B is not a saint. Yes. Atiku is not a saint. Dati Ahmed Baba, Okowa, and what have you. What is the role of the citizens in having the kind of nation that we all desire? For years, for years, we have left governance in the hand of politicians. And that's also part of the reason why we're where we are. So let's look at the role of the citizens. It's not enough to criticize these people.
Yeah. Vivian, look, other than PDP, APC, Labour, there are also some sound presidential candidates in other parties, though they appear to be small. I listened to the presidential candidate of this party, I think something Kachuku also.
Yeah.
Something Kachuku.
Ibe Kachuku's younger brother.
Yeah. When I listened to this guy talk, I was really enthusiastic about also his knowledge. But the point there is that what is playing good for Labour Party is because P2B won. He did well in the presidential debate in 2019 election. And that was actually what, in fact, that was his moment in the national politics of this country. Now, during moving around the states, talking to delegates, he captivated the heart of people, and they were seeing something new. Immediately P2B is like, why are you in PDP? That's the question. Immediately P2B left, there is a kind of tsunami. It large followers to what we got now. In other words, we still have people like him in other smaller parties. But we unfortunately, APC and PDP appear to have been captured by these people who have nothing to offer to Nigerians again in terms of resetting this nation. You get the point? That is why, and unfortunately, we have a large number of unenlightened voters, even if they are professors, who will not sit down and say, look, this is the way our nation is going. We are not going to get to the promised land. Let us remove ethnic sentiment, religious sentiment. Let us remove biases. Let us remove the issue of what I will get. Any form of sentiment at all, even party sentiment. And let us have a bipartisan approach to this election and get it right. That's what most nations do.
So when you say
we don't have,
when you say
talk
we,
of citizen participation,
exactly,
citizens are participating based on what they will eat now.
Okay.
They are not participating. In other words, they are not being enlightened to a point that what we eat now is not what we should be thinking about. It's what will benefit all of us and the next generation. We should be thinking of, are we happy that we don't have power? We don't have food, despite the land we have. We are not secured. There's corruption. People who go to political offices are lining their pockets, while the rest are meant to go into abject penury. These are the things we should be looking at, interrogating, and in our leadership recruitment process, we should bring this criteria in place and know, look, of all the content, go to the nations of the world now, the issue of this structure. I think there was this election that was held in, is it Colombia, yes, or Guatemala recently. There is this kind of also move for people, for citizens to change the narrative, and they achieved it. It's happening also in Zambia. We don't have enlightened, if it's even discuss the political rules with some professors, PhD holders, before you will now know the level we are debased.
Politically,
debased.
All right, I think that's where we need to have INEC and, of course, the National Orientation Agency and civil society are going to do more work. But let's get over to INEC
they
again.
do more work. What INEC do is, the more work they do is to the education, the civic education of voters is to pull out people, encourage people to vote. But to choose a leader is not their job.
Yeah, which is where the National Orientation Agency and civil society.
The individual should develop a concept around the kind of leader they want. And that is what, as they are going for campaigns now, individuals should be looking at one, not party, the individuals, their manifesto, their policy documents, how they also want to go about achieving their set targets for the overall interest. Who can give us 20 megawatts or 30 megawatts of electricity in the next 4 years? How will you go about it to achieve it?
Yeah, but that is where the civil society organizations come in. But let's quickly, because of time, get back to INEC. Right now on the road to 2023, the Independent National Electoral Commission says over 7 million Nigerians failed to complete their online voter pre-registration at physical centers. The continuous voter registration exercise, which began in June 2021, ended on Sunday, July 31st, 2022. INEC had launched a portal where Nigerians could register by filling in their biodata and required documents, after which they were expected to visit INEC designated centers to complete the process physically. However, according to data released by the electoral body, over 10 million Nigerians carried out their pre-registration online, and of course several of them. Now this issue of not being able to register when it comes to INEC portal and all that. This is a large number, 7 million Nigerians. That is a large number for a country that is struggling with voter apathy, and for a country that is also kind of having an awakening, asking that this is what they need to do. Let's get back to this issue quickly. A lot of people have raised issue on the process of registration. Some youth groups even said, bring this to the organizations, bring this to the polling units, spread this, let's have this thing, let's get it done. But INEC seemed to be restricted based on timing and what their plan, the blueprint for their 2023 elections. Now this brings us to say that about 7 million Nigerians have been disenfranchised because they are not going to vote in 2023. How bad is this?
Even what is NBA doing? Is NBA existing as a professional body that should be a kind of a bastion of protecting people's rights, sleeping?
Not really.
Yes. Even other civil society, this is where they will take INEC to court. That those people that have registered online, but are there, must be given opportunity to complete the process. Do you know which number you are talking about? 7 million? It's not that these people were not going. They were being frustrated. I interviewed most of them. They say, come, they say, network, come tomorrow and all those things. Why must you be frustrating the people? You created the problem. And they don't want to expand their capacity. A large number of people will get clustered in a particular registration point throughout a day to be asked to come the following day. Whose fault is it?
And the number, the 7 million that INEC is releasing for online voters.
This is exactly what I'm not talking of the rest.
Yes.
This is where I'm really referencing my analysis. And this is where NBA must rise to the occasion. And the court must be on the people's side to ensure that INEC do the needful. If INEC say they have their timetable, what is timetable? The law provides for continuous. So they are showing signs that people are now beginning to interrogate, begin to query their intentions. So INEC, that is why we are pleading through the platform for NBA, for civil rights, civil society organizations to rise to the occasion, and for individuals and for lawyers to do pro bono cases for individuals that present themselves to fight for their rights, because that is what is militating most of our citizens, the legal fee. They will can help them to
fight for their
interest.
Dr. Bidimma, saying that this number of people, according to INEC, are not eligible to receive a voter card before 2020 general election and will therefore not be able to vote. Like I repeat again, we're talking about 7 million eligible voters who have been denied of disenfranchised by INEC because due to their inability to provide the necessary tools, which is ensuring the registration process goes on smoothly. They opened the portal to say that you can register online. And this is why a lot of people try to register online. And now there are issues. And then after the process, after you have officially ended the process, you're coming out to say that 7 million Nigerians, if they can't vote. That's basically what INEC is saying.
INEC should not give room for people to say that they are working out a script. They are playing out a script for a particular candidate or a particular party, in the sense that it can't tell us in the present world of technology that PVC cannot be printed, that it will take you months to print out PVC, but it will take minutes to print out currencies. INEC should contract whether firms in Nigeria outside Nigeria, to ensure that they meet up the demand of the moment and get people PVCs right on time. It may not take companies more than a month to print out. What is Vivian, do you know what happened in this Commonwealth going on in Birmingham?
Yeah, where a UK company had to.
You know, the people were not kicked out within 24 hours.
They made something for the Nigerian players.
You know,
so a quick question before we get out of the studio. Our time is almost up, Dr. Obidimba. When you say 7 million Nigerians, the average PDP or APC party member, they have a large number of their people already registered because they have been fully participating in election prior to this time. But we have a larger percentage of the young people who are supposedly following the Labour Party candidates who may have been amongst a number of people that have been disenfranchised by INEC. This is
why I'm telling you that INEC should not be seen as acting somebody's script. I'm happy when they said this registration that people that register, 71% of them are youths.
And you're saying that 7 million of these youths?
Then 7 million of these youths should not vote.
We will not be voting.
Or we will not be voting, you know.
Because they couldn't complete their registration, you know, and you can't give them a voter card.
You see, I think I will discuss with my lawyer if he can also do a pro bono case for me to take this issue to court.
This is alarming, Dr. Obidimba. This is alarming because you're saying
very
that
alarming.
Over 7 million Nigerian youths who for the
INEC
first time
instruction because they are assuming that look, the people are voting now because of a particular candidate. Let us abridge it to ensure that that candidate did not spring surprises.
So do you see this creating a major ruckus in the polity if nothing is done about this as it is?
Yeah, something must be done.
Because the obedience group are already accusing the federal government and INEC of trying to...
That's why INEC is creating that room of suspicion. And how can INEC even begin to say that it will take time to print this thing? INEC should come out and be transparent to Nigerians. How many companies print your PVC? How many companies are contracted? Those who are, we had a list of companies that they license to manufacture prepaid meters. How many companies are printing the PVC? If they don't have the capacity, contract the people that also, the companies that have capacity to print, to also join in printing the PVC.
Well, we hope that they can do
if
that.
you don't have the cash, go for a supplementary budget.
And the law permits them to
Why
do
not?
that. So we're looking at a situation, we're in a country where we have the opportunity to go walk into a bank and get your ATM card immediately. Activated immediately. And this is a card that has a chip. And then we're talking about a PVC. Well, maybe we hope that INEC can get to talk to us sometime soon to explain better what we are looking at here. Thank you very much, Dr. Obidimba, for being part of ATM Blowout. It's been fun blowing out with you this morning.
It's my pleasure.
Thank you very much. We can't wait to have you here back as usual. Everyone, this has been our show this morning, and the conversation is done for the live studio. But let's continue the conversation on our social media pages, as you're seeing on your screen. Let's go to Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and much more. And let's continue the conversation. Do you think that INEC disenfranchising over 7 million young Nigerian youths is going to be ideal for the 2023 elections, considering what we've been dealing with voter apathy, and beyond that, dealing with voter apathy, there's an awakening, a consciousness for elections that we now have in Nigeria, and we are being told that over 7 million of these young people who willing, and this is just the online voters, the registrants. We don't know about those who had to go to the different centers. We're not able to be registered fully, so they are not going to be eligible to vote in 2023. Is this going to augur well with us, for us as a nation? Well, let's go to have this conversation on our social media pages. My name is Vivian Douglas. Thank you everyone for watching, and Sports Talk comes up next. Have a beautiful day.